I will comply. What choice do I have? It is as if you have seized me at the base of my snarglies.
God damn it, Kristen.
That's good. Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week we are talking about Coneheads, the 90s movie starring Dan Aykroyd based on the SNL sketch of the 70s.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, my God.
So weird.
What a gap.
I know.
The Coneheads were invented in the 70s, specifically 1977 is when they first appeared on SNL. Did you watch any of the SNL sketches?
No.
Terrible.
Yeah, I had my fill.
Terrible.
Once I watched Coneheads. I did some research on YouTube, so I got little bits and pieces, but I decided not to treat myself to a whole sketch.
I couldn't even find every one of the original SNL sketches. If nobody knows what this is, I mean, who could blame you?
Sure.
Listen, the premise is that Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin are Beldar and Primat or Prime.
I think it's Primat.
Primat Conehead. They're aliens living here on Earth. They literally have super tall, extended heads that look like eggs. But people don't seem to. Anyway, they're trying to blend into like human society.
People don't react to the fact that they look like this. They just kind of take it as fact that these people look like they shouldn't.
They'll just kind of be like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, Beldar?"
Yeah.
Like they don't.
And they talk like aliens, but people just accept it.
They talk like this. They use phrases like, "We are your parental units, Connie." They have a daughter named Connie, so
which is short for Constellation.
Right. I actually think that's kind of cute.
It's cute.
But so the 70s sketches. How do you feel about like
old SNL?
Old SNL.
Take a guess, William. How do you think I feel about old SNL?
You think the comedy's aged really well? the pacing.
I don't love it.
The joke per minute quota, which is very low.
I'm not into it.
Oh, it's terrible. There's like a whole... There are only a couple of sketches that I found, because they did this basically almost monthly for a while. There was a Conehead sketch. And one of the episodes Steve Martin was hosting, and they did a family feud where the Coneheads are up against other family. But there's such like a dearth of humor.
Yeah.
Because all the attention is just that the Coneheads are weird.
Right.
So this whole other family is Steve Martin being like, "I'm a farmer and I farm primarily romaine lettuce." And then they go like, "All right, up on the board, name something that kids love to eat." And he goes, "Romaine lettuce."
Yeah.
But it's not funny. It's like they just keep talking about lettuce for a while. And it's just to bide your time until you get to the Coneheads.
Sure.
It's like everything is, oh God, it's so...
It's not for moi.
There's so much space. Yeah. They really give the Coneheads a lot of space in these
But you know what? I bet there is. I'm sure there is. And which is good and fine. Another argument where it's like, early SNL, they gave them space.
I know.
There was time to breathe. It's not my preference.
There's a little too much time to breathe.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm a major completionist, and I also have like a bizarre reverence for sort of like TV enterprises. So like late night shows I get very like reverential of, like the Tonight Show was important for a time, whatever.
Yeah.
And Saturday Night Live, they started a while, like maybe a couple decades ago, they started releasing seasons of the show on DVD. And I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm getting season 1 of Saturday Night Live on DVD. Oh my
Did you?
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're nuts.
Yeah. No, I know. I wouldn't buy it now. And they stopped making them because I think everyone was like, this isn't worth it.
Yeah.
This isn't worth it. Don't go back. The juice ain't worth the squeeze. But it's just like, I know there's a lot to say about like Saturday Night Live, what's the best era or whatever.
Yeah.
But for people that were born in the 80s, those 70s shows are rough.
Yeah. No, it's just not for me.
And so the Coneheads are just like another of these sort of like, fine idea. Aliens trying to blend in on Earth, but not even...
There are a lot of funny things about it.
Yes, they're conceptually funny things to me.
Honestly, so... okay. Ryan, my husband, and I started watching the movie Coneheads, like, I think it was like a year ago or something. And
yeah, this is the dirty secret about us doing this show.
Totally. But it affected my experience of watching the movie for this show in a positive way.
Oh.
In the end. So, Ryan and I put on Coneheads, and I ended up telling Will that David Spade is so funny in Coneheads. What Will remembered was me saying, Coneheads is so funny. So then when Will went to watch Coneheads, he was thinking, oh, Kristen said Coneheads is great. And because a high expectation had been set up, you watched it and you were like, this sucks. Now, because you watched it.
And then I reported back to you,
Yes.
Coneheads sucks.
Yes, and then I watched it and it was better than I thought it was going to be. Oh, and also the thing is, when I had reported to Will that David Spade is great in it, Ryan and I didn't even finish watching Coneheads because we didn't like it. We got to like a part with David Spade and Michael McKean, which we enjoyed, and basically turned it off after that because we didn't like the rest of it.
It sounded like you were recommending the movie to
No.
me, particularly because of David Spade's performance.
No.
He's not even like really a main character.
No.
He's like a side character in this thing.
But he packs a punch,
He's funny. He does the same David Spade sort of smug guy thing,
which I love.
which is very funny.
He's like a sycophant in it. He's like a
Yes.
little kiss ass.
Yeah, the weird thing about Coneheads is that
Yes.
it's all about
Immigration.
immigration.
Because they're illegal immigrants from another planet.
Now, there's a lot going on in the news right
Yes.
now. I did not expect Coneheads
No.
to hit with, quite frankly, a double whammy of recent events.
No, I know.
I know.
But-
But so, like, yeah, the movie is structured now because those 70s sketches, for whatever reason, 20 years later,
Right.
they make this movie. Why?
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know. All I found were things that were referencing that there was this long gap, but not really a reason for that.
that is so strange to me
very
that there's
strange.
20 years between the height of Coneheads and then the movie coming out and creating a new peak, a new cone, a new high cone line.
I just remember the only thing that I found as far as an explanation was the fact that Wayne's World had come out a few years beforehand and was a humongous hit, and that Dan Aykroyd came in and pointed to that as proof of a sketch taking off, and kind of used that as leverage for Coneheads becoming a movie.
That's the whole answer.
Yeah.
That's the entire answer right there.
I guess
Excellent,
so.
excellent work. Yeah. Let's raid the catalog of SNL recurring characters or fun characters and
Mm-hmm.
try to make movies out of them. And that died with what? Night at the Roxbury? Ladies Man?
I don't even know.
Saturday Night Live movies? I don't remember them making a Gilly movie. So they clearly stopped.
My dirty little secret is I don't care for Gilly.
Oh, Gilly is horrible. Horrible.
I actually really like Kristen Wiig, but I don't like a lot of those characters. I don't know. I have a spotty relationship with SNL. There's a lot I like.
I don't
and a-
even know what
and a lot
Gilly
of
is supposed to be.
hits that I do not like.
Gilly, I look at it and I'm like, ooh,
What is this?
why is this on TV? Anyway,
But again, plenty of things I go, what is this? I love it.
of course,
So who
of
knows?
course, of course. All things are subjective. All right, but that's the answer. That's why Coneheads got made into a movie.
Right,
But
right.
part of why we're talking about it today, twofold. One, a while ago, I think maybe in our Ghostbusters Frozen Empire review,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about, obviously, how Ghostbusters is something of an extension of Dan Aykroyd's love and belief in ghosts.
Yes.
And we got around to talking about, is there any chance that Coneheads is the extension of his belief and love, and he said that he's seen multiple UFOs? Is this his UFO project where
Right.
it's funny, but it also is riddled with his sort of like belief structure?
Sure.
And we'll get into it. I think let's leave that as a dangling notion because there is some sort of an answer that I have
Okay.
I can provide.
Okay.
But also recently in the headlines, there was another one of those UFO congressional hearing things
Right.
where they showed like a bunch of footage and people very dryly were like, well, yes, of course we do have in our possession, we have secured multiple. And so we'll go, what? We'll go, multiple
Biologics.
biologics.
Or whatever.
It's like, are you trying to say we have aliens? but you're-
Bodies?
Yeah, we have alien bodies and crafts?
I don't know about all that, but
Evidently, that's just a true accepted fact now. That
I'm not sure. It's a true accepted fact that somebody said that in front of Congress.
if I had more patience, we would really drill down and try to look at these things, and maybe someday. But now's not the time.
I started to, and then I. to be
Oh no,
totally
I've gone
honest,
cross-eyed. It's so boring.
I also saw that Lauren Boebert was there at
Well,
the
yeah.
hearing, and I was like, she's still in play? I didn't
Yeah,
think she
where have
was
you
still in
been?
play after she was at the play.
Oh, she was in play at the play. What was she seeing? Beetlejuice? She must have said it 3 times.
I seriously thought that she had like left politics. I really had. For
Kristen,
some reason,
how behind are you?
I thought that she had like been banished.
No.
I know. I should have known better.
No one gets banished anymore.
I don't know.
What are you, insane? No, that's honestly, that that's good, wholesome American values at this point.
Not for a woman, usually. I feel like a man can get away with that, but not a lady.
It's all different now. It's all different now. Well, nothing, but I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to.
No, but it put me off track because I saw somebody put a comment about Lauren Boebert. It was a YouTube video, and I was like, Boebert's there? Yeah. And then I got off track.
Yeah.
Because it was boring anyway.
Oh, it's so boring. We'll get, I think someday
and that
maybe
video
we'll...
of Beetlejuice is not boring.
I know. I think someday I'll do my best to try to actually watch that stuff and take notes and explain it or something. But for now, we're staying stupid, everybody.
Yep.
Let's talk about Coneheads after this commercial break. So listen, you've sort of indicated, if I can get to the crux of the matter, that now you like Coneheads?
I wouldn't say that, but it wasn't as bad as I thought that it was going to be, based on, number one, Ryan and I turning it off a year ago.
Yeah.
I still didn't like it. Like, I was like, oh God, like this is annoying. I can see why we turned this right off.
Yeah.
And also you talking about how much it sucked. I was like, okay, there's more to laugh at in this than I thought. It was still very annoying and abrasive.
It is nice to have low expectations. You can then be impressed.
Yeah, right. I completely benefited from that.
Yes.
So yeah, I enjoyed it more than I expected to going into this, but I still didn't like it.
Well, let me ask you, what is your history with Coneheads?
You know, I had seen Coneheads when I was a kid, and I think that I liked it.
Yeah.
I remember pursuing a Connie Conehead Halloween costume one year.
No way.
And looking up cones on Amazon probably and seeing a lot of bad reviews for cones and talking about how they were collapsing and stuff. And
you don't want to have cone collapse.
No, you definitely don't. And I remembered it because I was telling my friend Sarah that we were doing this, and she was like, oh, one of my friends was Connie Conehead for a costume one year. It was awesome because she could just wear like a flannel and a cone. And I was like, oh, that rules. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, I think I was going to do that.
Yeah. Listen, she was cool.
Oh, totally.
If I can praise the movie as well, because there are things that I do like. I don't want to give the impression that I hate the entire thing.
Yeah.
I like that the movie reinterprets Beldar and Primat having a daughter as her being like, I was born on Earth.
Right.
I'm born into Earthling culture. I am a typical teenager on Earth, and my parents are from Remulak, this planet, and they are steeped in this like weird old culture that I don't understand.
Right, but I'm an American teenager with a cone.
I like that.
Yeah,
I actually really like that. And
there are things about it that are clever.
Yes, I think the entire like immigration thing actually is pretty clever.
It is.
And like really exposes like the stupidity of people that are like, we have to deport the illegal aliens or whatever. Like,
it's spoofing and goofing on those people and the whole idea of it. Like, it's definitely dunking on that concept of like anti-immigration stuff. Oh yeah,
I know. It's honestly, I was kind of impressed by that angle of it, that it actually sort of does have something to say.
Yeah, totally. So really that's my history with it. I think that I liked it.
Yeah.
And what about you?
My introduction to the Coneheads was the movie. Again, I didn't watch old Saturday Night Live or anything.
No, same.
But I don't think I would have seen it in theaters or anything. I was too young.
I don't think I did.
But this thing was played on repeat on like Comedy Central when we were kids. And this is like pre-internet days where you're just watching whatever's on TV. I bet that I saw this movie in bits and pieces like a dozen times.
Yeah.
I always was like, oh man, I hope that I can still watch or like, I'd be like, I want to see the part where he goes back home and he has to fight that monster. Because it ends with a monster fight and stuff.
Right.
Like, I was like, always kind of like, in my head, I was like, is that in Coneheads 2 or something? There is no Coneheads 2.
No, they talked about it, but no.
Yeah, of course. It's just that periodically, like, I would either catch it at the beginning or then catch it in the middle or catch it at the end separately and have no idea what was happening.
Oh, yeah. No, I think I had a pretty similar experience of it, too.
I definitely remembered this movie fondly. Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, same. I mean, I think that's why Ryan and I put it on those many months ago.
I know.
And then, honestly, I think it was Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin who put me off. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
They're doing the job.
But their voices and whole deal is very like,
It is so
it's very
annoying.
abrasive.
It is so annoying.
Yeah.
And also the movie is riddled with jokes that are not jokes. So like at one point, Connie Conehead comes home and she's got a little tattoo.
Oh, I actually love that.
Like behind
What
her
have you
ear.
done to your cone?
I know, yes. He goes, what have you done to your... He goes, what have you done to your cone? And he like runs over. But only because I had the subtitles on did I understand some of the other stuff that he says. He goes, go to your your private space and remove the decal. And I was like, to me, that was nonsense.
I know.
But it said in the subtitles, remove the decal.
I
He
thought
was
the same
referring to
thing.
her tattoo as a decal. But no one on planet Earth, maybe on Remulac, they would
Right.
enjoy this humor.
Right.
But mispronouncing an Earthling word in such a way that I don't even understand it anymore is one of those things that, like, in the room, they probably were like, I should say remove the decal. Oh, but it'd be funny if you said, if you don't even know the word, how to pronounce decal. So you say decal.
I thought the
Now he says-
exact
Yeah.
same thing. And I thought that those kinds of jokes benefited from being in the writer's room, writing things down, being able to see a word as opposed to the way that you're saying it,
Yes.
and understanding the contrast between those two things, as opposed to sitting watching a movie and just not knowing that that decal means decal.
Decal.
Like once you know, or you can watch it with captions, like, yeah, that's funny. But just like watching it as an onslaught is like, what the hell is that?
The movie is
There's a
rife
lot of that.
with alien words and mispronunciations of human words. But like you just said, I think it's probably more fun to write the Coneheads than it is for anyone to look at it.
Yeah.
Listen to it.
Yeah, because it's not understandable, which I know is part of the joke, but that it goes too
Incomprehensible.
far.
Oh, it goes way too far. It's a complete misfiring of comedy and a misunderstanding of what people want and can comprehend.
Right.
Now,
right.
listen, I did something that we don't typically do.
Okay.
If you don't mind, give me like 1 minute here.
Okay.
If you would maintain low tones.
Okay, thanks
while
for the opening with maintain low tones. Thanks for setting me up. Okay, one time I went on a date to Seesaw 4, and I knew
What's Seesaw?
William
Is that a cute kids movie?
to see.
And you went to go to Seesaw 4?
Yeah, the fourth movie in the Seesaw franchise.
Seesaw. I heard that the reception of that franchise was up and down.
Wow. Look at you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you.
No, I went on this date and I've had in my head that I said to my date, like made a joke that was a Coneheads line. And I've been thinking for years that I said, we come from France. And I was like, why would I have ever said that? I can't imagine why I would have said that. It's been bothering me whenever I think of it. And I forgot that maintain low tones even existed.
Yeah.
I realized that it was when
It's so annoying.
when the lights were going down and stuff, I said to my date, maintain low tone.
And when the lights came back up, you were alone.
But when he said maintain low tones, I was like, that's it. That's what the thing was that I said. What a relief that I finally know.
Damn, Raj. To say that on a date, you know what? I'll tell you what. It's actually a perfect test. Because if they were able to hang with maintain low tones, you've really got something there.
It was, it ran its course.
I bet that movie like as the credits were opening, he was sitting there like, maintain low tones. Was that a Coneheads reference? Did she just reference Coneheads to me? Does she? Oh no. Does she love Coneheads? And this is what I'd be dealing with every day. She must eat like 1,000 pancakes or waffles every morning as she consumes mass quantities. What's going to happen if I meet her parental units?
Look, I think the relationship was what it was supposed to be. It was fine. It was fine.
Maintain low tones. Saw 4 is starting. Pew! Disappear. Good God.
Oh, God.
Good God, Kristen.
Oh, quite a catch.
All right, try to control yourself.
Let's see what I can do.
I wrote down the
But
plot.
seriously, it's bugged me for years. I just couldn't remember what it was. And
But he thinks about it periodically too. You just catch him staring in the middle distance, thinking about that one night.
that girl. Also, God, I shouldn't tell
No,
you
say it. Say it.
This is
Please, by all means.
This is so bad. I may as well. How the hell did this? Oh, God. Okay. All right.
All right.
Oh, God. My hands are sweating. Okay. So, I used to be, what was Grandpa said? A fan of the grape or whatever. I was a big drinker. Remember Grandpa used to say, like, there was a phrase for it. It's like some old man phrase. Like, it had to do with wine. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
It was like he was talking about somebody who was like a bad drinker. It was like they're a friend of the grape or something. I don't know. I don't know what it was. But anyway, I used to drink a lot. So anyway, this guy was a bartender, and we would talk about going out, and it just wasn't happening. Oh God! And then one night, I was.
Oh, Jesus. You're like breaking down.
I came home. I've been drinking or whatever. This is MySpace time. I sent him a message on MySpace. The subject line, go out. The body of the message, shall we or shan't we? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
Wait, why are you telling me this?
Because it was the same guy who I said maintain.
Oh, it was the same guy.
Yes.
All right, I thought it was just like a separate incident.
No, it was the same guy.
God, thank God you're different now.
I know.
Partially.
Well,
you maintain low tones. You have less of an excuse for, in my eyes.
It was.
Shall we or shan't we?
It was the same guy around the same time.
I know. That's brutal.
Yeah,
that's
it's
brutal
tough.
stuff, Rush.
It's tough.
I one time went on a date with a girl. Mm-hmm. We went to Subway.
Yeah.
And I tried to do a Connie Conehead, and just really, how was a foot long?
And just mushed along the sides of your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
How embarrassing.
All right, so listen.
Yeah.
I wrote down the plot of Coneheads for people who don't know. I tried to make it as brief as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's helpful sometimes to read a plot, and I decided to give it a try. All right?
Great.
So, Beldar and Primat are aliens from Remulac who crash land on Earth, only to find out that nobody is coming to save them. Mm-hmm. For years. They don't even know how long. Originally, their job was to scout out Earth for a brutal takeover, but suddenly, now that they're stranded, their job becomes just kind of blending in, which is easier said than done since they literally have enormously long skulls. Fast forward a decade.
A taste for the grape. That's what it was.
A taste for the grape.
Yeah, she has a taste for the grape.
Very good. So do I, though.
Yeah, well.
I like grapes. So, it can mean anything, is what I'm saying. Grandpa was being too vague.
I guess so.
Zoe has a taste for the grape. Sometimes we cut them in half to make sure it's not a choking hazard.
Smart.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, fast forward about a decade or so. Suddenly, Beldar and Primat are the parental units of Connie Conehead, a 16-year-old girl who loves her life on Earth. Unfortunately, INS agents Michael McKeon and David Spade are relentlessly trying to find the alien family and deport them from the country/planet. As the INS agents close in, planet Remulac finally makes contact, and it would be a happy escape, but Connie has fallen in love with an Earthling named Ronnie, played by Chris Farley, who is impressed with her ability to consume mass quantities of food. Quickly. Nonetheless, they are airlifted back to Remulac with her family and the abducted INS agents who are immediately enslaved on Remulac.
Yes.
But David Spade sort of weasels his way in to become like, they really should listen to you. Like talking to the overlord of Remulac.
He's like, you have the hardest job here.
He really is good. Yeah. You were right about that. On Remulac, Beldar is punished for failing to conquer Earth, and he is sentenced to Narfel the Garthok. Which no one knows what the hell that means. It means like fight the monster. There's a monster on the planet that kills everybody, and then it's Beldar's turn.
Yeah.
Beldar defeats the monster and is sort of gifted a new opportunity. And he knows that Connie was pained to leave Earth behind, but all the same, he promises the overlords of Remulac, I will go back to Earth with my family to conquer it. Mm-hmm. And Connie's like, Dad, how could you?
Enslave the blunt skulls.
The blunt skulls. Good God, the phrases in this movie.
I like it.
But on return, he actually fakes the explosion of their craft. He fakes the death of himself and his family, instead making it possible for the Coneheads to live on Earth without being hassled by Remulac, and he gives his daughter the world.
Yeah, it's so sweet.
Which is incredibly, incredibly sweet. It does end on a very kind thing of Beldar being like, it is not often that a parental unit is able to gift his offspring the world.
Yeah, it's very cute.
That is very cute. He lets Connie return home to be with Ronnie.
Yeah.
And recognizes that even though he struggles with Earth culture, his daughter loves it. And so she should get to enjoy it.
Yep.
That to me, more than anything, that a good conclusion or like a nice little button on a theme or something like that can help me sort of like raise an entire movie up.
Yeah.
But it is also worth saying that this movie is basically 3 chunks to me. Dismal, dour, they're stranded.
Right.
And it's like his boss is like Sinbad and they live in like
I forgot Sinbad was there.
like a basement apartment and it's like kind of grungy. Then act 2 is all suburban silliness. And then act 3 is weirdness on the alien planet.
Yeah.
Like it's so disjointed thirds to me.
Yeah. I
way.
honestly only remembered like that second act. I didn't remember anything about like Sinbad and all of that.
It's
I
terrible.
didn't really remember them going back to Remulac.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of surprises in store for me.
I find it joyless.
I can see that. I can certainly see that.
Yeah. This thing is also riddled with cameos.
Oh, I know.
So on top of everyone that I
wrote them
just
all down,
mentioned, we've got cameos, as I mentioned, from Sinbad, Michael Richards, Kramer,
Yep.
Eddie Griffin, Phil Hartman, Adam Sandler, Jason Alexander, Ellen DeGeneres. That doesn't count as a cameo. I don't
Again,
know what
I
that
would
is.
debate cameo versus just getting jobs for some of these people. But
someone that you're friends
I would
with,
say this is
yeah.
a list of people we know as being famous
True,
now who
fair
are in
enough.
this movie.
Tim Meadows, John Lovitz, Kevin Nealon, and friend of the show, Tom Arnold.
There are actually more.
Oh,
There's
really?
also Phil Hartman, Drew
said that.
Carey, Parker Posey.
Drew Carey, I forgot.
Yeah. Parker Posey, Joey Lauren Adams, Lorraine Newman, Jan Hooks, and Julia Sweeney.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Almost every scene, it becomes like the movie stinks, but it's kind of fun to look at and go like, oh my God, another person.
Packed.
Yeah.
Packed with them.
Now what?
So, so I have a little fun behind the scenes anecdote from, of course, David Spade. So Michael McKean was on
brilliant.
David Spade and Dana Carvey's podcast Fly on the Wall
Yeah.
a while ago. And David Spade told a story about how when they were on set one day, and it was the day where they were going to be filming the scenes where they're on Remulac, and Michael McKean and David Spade have been captured and they're brought there. And they're in just like boxers and t-shirts or whatever. And they have these electric collars around their necks to control them, which is a parallel because Michael McKean earlier in the movie shows his plans to like other government people for like basically like an electric fence or whatever that's going to keep immigrants out. And like they would have collars or something,
Right.
Where they would get shocked. David Spade's on set in his trailer and, somebody came in to take him to set and he was like, just so you know, David Spade, they're all covered up and everything. You won't be able to see them, but I have chicken pox. So, just so you know, for some reason. And the guy was like, oh, okay, no problem. And left the trailer. And then he said all of a sudden it was like, set shutting down for the day, and they had to like shut everything down because chickenpox are contagious.
Yeah.
And he said that he heard that they lost like $100,000 that day.
Oh my God.
He thought it was like no big whoop.
Yeah.
But they had to shut everything down.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that could explain another behind the scenes story that I heard, because it is said that on the studio back lot, some sort of a disagreement happened or a bad event. Maybe it was David Spade and losing $100,000 for the set. Dan Aykroyd.
Okay, it's not this, but go ahead.
Do you know what it was?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know the cause of it.
Yes.
All right. Well, Dan Aykroyd was in full costume as Beldar Conehead.
Yep.
The big high head. I like to imagine the full alien suit or something. Maybe the pajamas.
Yeah, I like that.
And he got so pissed off at something that he ended up smashing a fax machine.
Yeah.
I like to imagine, until you tell me what it really was, that they're like, David Spade just lost $100,000 for the movie. Mibs.
That's their like curse word in the movie.
Mibs. I thought, because another subtitle thing, initially, because it's multiple times, I sort of misrepresented in the plot. Like Michael McKean and David Spade are there from like Act 1 trying to catch them. At some point, Dan Aykroyd looks out of the trailer home that he lives in with Jane Curtin, and he sees the INS agents coming, and he goes, MIBS!
Yeah.
And I saw MIBS. I was like, MIBs, Men in Black.
Oh, that makes sense.
I thought Dan Aykroyd had worked in MIBS, another one of those like better written than said jokes.
Yes.
It's MIBS, Men in Black, who are coming. But no, it turns out that MIBS is their word for like, oh shit.
Okay, and also, I think it's actually supposed to be MEBS. The captions do say MIBS, but...
Who do we contact to fix the Coneheads subtitles, everybody?
I know. I would love to know. But there was also another...
This is pressing.
It really is. I guess I wouldn't call it behind the scenes, but just extra movie issue. There was an ad for Coneheads that spoofed Gap ads of the time, where it was Beldar, like, you know, dressed nicely or something. And then I guess Gap ads at the time would have, you know, a picture, and then the other page was just like text of something. And I found that the only way that I could find it was an eBay ad for a magazine that had that. And it said MEBS.
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 No one knows what that means.
No, it's just, I guess it's just supposed to be like, damn it.
No, but I mean like
no, I know.
General consumer, average
course.
consumer doesn't look at the Coneheads Gap ad and go, oh, MEBS, they must be upset about something.
Yeah, of course.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So
this movie suffers from them like knowing things behind the scenes that don't get adequately communicated.
Totally. So here's the ad. Oh yeah, it says MEB instead of Gap. So it's just a screenshot.
It's the company name is MEB. Mm-hmm. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
No. So it's Beldar looking sharp, wearing like a button down and a tie with a cardigan over it. It's a black and white ad. And then on the opposite page, there is some alien gobbledygook.
Yeah, there's Blad for that. Yeah, whatever. It's nonsense.
Let me see.
It's nonsense.
Whoops. Oh, I didn't scooch it all the way. It says Scar and Blad for that subtle, conventional yet unconventional look. Classic Meb. It's French for when you want to blend in.
Classic Meb would mean classic shit.
Yeah. Classic Meb. Huh.
What the hell does Mebs mean?
I don't know. There's no way to know.
I don't know. I'm going to make Dan Aykroyd narfle the Garthok for this.
Yeah. So what he was flipping out about was that he had a bunch of his friends who were on motorcycles coming to visit him on set, and they didn't have the proper security passes. So the security guards turned them away, and he got super, super pissed that his friends were turned away. And that's why he threw a whole fit.
Would you smash a fax machine for that? That seems like it could be solved.
It seems like it could be, but no. And it was Michael McKean relaying the story on the podcast. He said
really?
He ripped his cone off and like flipped out.
Oh, no.
I know.
He became a blunt skull in a rage?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And that probably takes a while to come on.
I think it does.
During the scene where Jane Curtin is giving birth to Connie, her cone was starting to come off.
Oh, was it?
It was from far away, but you could start to see the seam. And I was like, oh, no.
Oh, that's funny.
But then in anything close up, you couldn't tell.
I think the movie is disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross.
When her water breaks and it like floods their basement apartment, it's disgusting.
Yeah, I don't like that.
When he goes to the dentist,
don't like that
and
either.
John Lovitz tells him to open his mouth wide, and he opens his mouth so wide that his head becomes a gross puppet with like 5 rows of teeth like a shark or something.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No, I don't
like that at all.
I don't like
What do you think about his ass?
I don't like that either, and I don't like those knobs.
I don't know what.
So his ass doesn't have a crack.
What is going on with Beldar's ass, everybody?
I don't know. And then it doesn't have a crack, and then there are these 2 fleshy knobs, like on either side of his like sacrum, his lower back.
It is bizarre.
Yeah.
So when
you see it when he's in the shower at the country club.
What's going on in the front?
It's a great question. I don't know.
There,
I don't want to know.
There is something amusing.
Maybe nothing. Are those knobs like his dick?
Maybe, because you know that their fornication is done via like Christmas wreaths,
right?
Like they like throw on each other's heads.
Or is that just foreplay? Are those Christmas wreaths the equivalent of a vibrator?
Oh, interesting.
Because
question.
she says that she found that under their bed.
Right.
So I don't know.
We've got to make contact with Dan Aykroyd someday. I have questions about Coneheads that only the man himself can answer.
Right.
I think Coneheads is gross. I think conceptually, again, some of it is interesting. Like, it's amusing to be like, they're so obviously aliens.
Right.
Why would you, an alien with alien biology, no ass, he has no ass.
Right.
Why would he go to the gyms at his country club knowing with no fear? Because everyone would be like, Beldar Conehead doesn't have an ass crack. He's not from planet Earth. Let alone the head.
He has no reason to fear because nobody's been reacting to him in a strange way whatsoever. He walks around with that head, no problem. He went to the dentist. John Lovitz didn't bat an eye.
Right.
He couldn't put the nitrous oxide thing on his mouth like usual. He had to like put it inside his mouth because it had expanded to like the size of a head. Nobody is giving him any cause to think that he can't just walk around and expose his crackless ass.
That did make me laugh.
Back dicks.
When John Lovitz doesn't know what to do, so he just puts the entire gas mask inside the puppet mouth.
Yeah.
That did make me laugh. That was funny. Because John Lovitz is funny.
I love John Lovitz.
John Lovitz is a funny little clown.
He's fantastic. They have every reason to think that they are free to be you and me.
Yeah, and listen, they should. They have a place here on this planet.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to have the Coneheads.
Yeah, totally.
All right, let's talk more about some of the behind the scenes Coneheads, where they come from, Dan Aykroyd's belief in them, and assorted other Coneheads musings.
Great.
After we talk about Patreon. Patreon.com/GTTUpod.
Talk about another planet.
I know. It truly is. Now, I want to shout out, because in the last few weeks, while I've been on parental leave, we didn't know what order shows were going to come out necessarily, because we had to like pre-record a lot of them.
Yep.
Well, now I can tell people a lot of the shows that they may have not heard us reference on this show right now.
True.
We do an entire second podcast on patreon.com/GTTUpod called The Netherworld Dispatch. It comes out every single Monday, and depending on the tier that you back us at on our Patreon, you either get it every Monday, every 2 weeks, or every month. Having said that, here are some of the awesome shows that are literally waiting for you right now if you sign up today. The most recent one is called Spooky Supper. Terrible name.
That's pretty good.
We looked at horror-themed restaurants. A lot of you, listeners and viewers, had sent us some horror-themed restaurants around the world, so we took a look at those. We really reviewed the decor.
Yeah.
We reviewed the menu.
The names of the items, particularly.
Yes. Before that, we had an episode called Magicians Gone Mad.
Woo.
Kristen really got hung up on how did David Copperfield make the Empire, or not the Empire State Building, the Statue of Liberty disappear.
I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, well, magic, man.
I don't get it.
And we looked at Chris Angel embarrassing himself without realizing it.
Yeah, totally. He goes up to a woman to perform some magic, but she's got huge titties, and he cannot handle himself. He's like,
But like to an awkward degree, where he's
beyond.
looking off camera to like a producer, almost like, can we cut the camera?
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
We looked at Unsolved Mysteries, a woman who was able to, she's a psychic, but also she sweats gold.
Right, and cries diamonds. But she doesn't.
Our Halloween Netherworld Dispatch, we looked at Stevel on Family Matters. A bunch of Halloween episodes of shows. We played Resident Evil 7, which was disgusting.
Yep.
We played some horror quizzes online, like choose your own adventure type stuff. We looked at horror things in kids' movies, like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which is revolting.
Ugh.
The Child Snatcher or whatever. We watched Ed and Lorraine Warren get into a fight on a...
Not with each other, with a disbeliever on a talk show.
Yep. We reviewed Ghostbusters 2016. Maybe that's where we talked about Coneheads. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
We did some Beyond Belief Fact or Fiction, which is an amazing show. We have to try to guess whether or not the stories are true or false. It's impossible to do. That may or may not be coming back very, very soon. We listened to old-fashioned radio shows. We got an amazing cartoon of a conversation from that show, which was drawn and submitted by Annabelle, which is outstanding. You can see that on @GTTUpod on social media. We looked at Silent Hill PT knockoffs, and we read some creepy and crappy pastas.
Yes, there's been a lot of good stuff going on over on Patreon in the last couple of months. I hope you check it out. You also get ad-free versions of the regular Guide to the Unknown episodes when you sign up on the $4 tier or more. You get access to our Discord when you sign up on any of those paid tiers, which includes a $1 tier that just gets the Discord access. It's really awesome. So just go check out patreon.com/GTTUpod, see what appeals to you, and we would love to have you over there.
Yeah, we'll hatch you over there.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. All I meant to, by reading that list, is like, look at the party. Look at all like this stuff that we try to do to keep like the spooky fun in motion.
Yeah.
We also recently did a chill stream, which was super fun, laid back. A lot of you probably already know this. We promoted it on the show, but the replay of that should be available as well.
Yeah, and that's just for free in general.
Yep. But that was a really good time, and thank you so much the support that we got from people, and like
that was awesome.
It was really wonderful, and trying to figure out like streamer stuff of like super chats. So many people submitted super chats and stuff.
I know.
Unreal.
It was so unexpected and so nice.
It was.
Thank you so much.
We also love reading reviews of the show, and so I have a wonderful one here from, quite frankly, a tremendous supporter, Mike C.
Oh, thanks.
Great listen for so many moods. This brother and sister team covers so many great topics: lore, mystery, nerddom, horror, you name it. The back and forth alone makes for a great listen for the sister-brother aspect, but don't let the playfulness fool you. These two are incredibly creative and well-read, so listening to them talk about their passions means one will definitely learn something new with each episode. They celebrate the scary from a safe place and analyze the supernatural from a skeptical point of view. For a more chaotic energy, you can listen to their Patreon podcast too. I'm in the demon tier.
Ooh.
But either way, you're in for a really fun time. 5 stars.
Thank you so much. That's so nice. Thank you so much to everybody who reviews us. It really means a lot to us. It helps people decide to check out the show and, you know, enjoy spooky, fun stuff too. It's really great. Thank you so much to everybody. And if you haven't left us a review, please consider doing it. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. All right, back to Coneheads.
Yep.
After one more commercial break.
Okay, William, what was your favorite part of Coneheads?
Oh.
It doesn't have to be a moment. It could be. It can be an aspect. It could be a line. Whatever is something that jumps out to you is, I like this.
Wow. Kristen, I've never, you know me, I'm not often speechless.
You've been struck dumb.
I kind of have been. I don't know. You know what I kind of appreciate? Mm-hmm. This is so weird. At the end, when Beldar is sentenced to Narfel the Garthok, there are other Conehead people on Remulac who have been sentenced to fight this monster as well.
Right.
And one
like
by
the little
one,
diapers that they have to wear?
That's so strange.
Yeah, I don't know why they have to do that.
They were like cloth diapers.
Yeah.
But so Beldar goes last. So these other guys keep going into the arena. And then we don't see the Garthok. Mm-hmm. We don't see the monster for a while. But we do see their body parts go flying and bounce down this like stone staircase. There are beheadings.
Oh, yeah.
There are severed cone heads.
The cones are flying.
It's crazy. Mm-hmm. That, I think, is surprisingly gnarly.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What about you? What's your
that.
favorite part? Try to pick one.
I know.
Just one.
I don't have just one because it's a bunch of just lines that made me laugh. That what's his name says? Beldar.
Go for it.
Just little things here and there.
Let's hear what Kristen likes.
All right. I can't remember what this was in reference to, but him saying, "He will surely cut off my plarg and hand it to me." After he gives Connie a hard time about the decal, the fake tattoo on her cone, and gives her a hard time about her makeup, his wife is like, "Oh, you're being too hard on her," or whatever, and he goes, "What? She looked like a common she looked like a common flathrag on payday." Like, what?
Flathrag.
And then, he's picking up his car from Ronnie, who is Chris Farley, and he doesn't like the price, but he says, "I will comply. What choice do I have? It is as if you have seized me at the base of my snarglies."
God damn it, Kristen.
That's good. And then
that's good. Moving on.
And then my last one is he is a driving instructor. That's his job. He has fulfilled the things that Sinbad told him he should do for his American dream. He said that he should look good. He got his teeth fixed. Be his own boss. And now he owns his own driving school and get paid in cash, which he does. So he's a driving instructor, and he is repeatedly teaching Jan Hooks, who's got a huge crush on him.
Yeah.
And she goes to make out with him, and he rejects her and is like, I'm married, like whatever. And on their final parting, Jan Hooks says, you are wise, but there's a sadness to your wisdom. That's it.
All right, you're sort of selling me on
Just a
those things.
smattering of my favorite lines are my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, I remember being also a fan of Connie Conehead eating that foot long.
Yeah.
Because in the 90s, that was like a good special effect.
Oh, totally.
You know what I
You're
mean?
like, whoa.
Like a comedy, but now you look at it and you're like, ugh, it looks horrible.
I also remember really liking it when I was a kid, when they were listening to Tainted Love in the car, and he was going, I thought that was very funny when I was a kid.
I also like it when he brings that back when he's not playing the Garthok.
Sometimes I feel like I can run away.
Like, it's so weird, and it's echoing through this stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel vulnerable.
Do you feel more vulnerable than me talking about my MySpace message and
No
line
way.
in the movie theater?
No way. You were like a turtle on its back for that one. Good God. No, but I do feel like sort of sensitive and unsafe, like praising this movie.
It's got some good stuff in it.
That's so rough.
It is rough. Like I was ready for it to be over and everything. And like I said, it's tough because I think that the worst parts of it are the leads, and they're doing what they're supposed to do though.
Right.
Like they're supposed to be weird and annoying, but it was too weird and annoying for me. Like there are things that I can find conceptually funny, like Jane Curtin seeing an eggplant and being like, eh! But hearing that is annoying and abrasive.
It's so abrasive.
So then the experience of watching the movie is annoying to me. So I don't like that.
Yes.
However, there are a bunch of disparate parts within the movie that are funny.
I think I do agree with you on that.
So it's a push and pull.
You know, again, to praise Connie Conehead, looking back at the original 70s sketches, their daughter Connie in those is played by another SNL performer.
Lorraine Newman.
It's Lorraine Newman.
And she's doing the exact same thing. There's no change at all.
But the choice to make her be like, Dad, you've got to loosen up.
Yeah.
Like for her to just be a teen.
Yep.
That is like such an inspired choice.
Totally.
That it changes everything, because now when Beldar is being like rigid and stuff, it's in contrast to somebody who's like, no, let's develop and like, let's get into the Earth culture or whatever.
She's a foil. She's a loving foil, but
Yes.
still a foil.
But it smooths out the entire premise.
Yeah.
It makes them all less cold.
Right.
You know? But I also do think that it's kind of enjoyable seeing Beldar Conehead try to chase the American dream of like, he's always got like a cigar or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does like weird alien versions of all human things.
Right. He's golfing.
Yeah, he's golfing.
But he's like a really intense golfer. They have barbecues, but it's charring mammal flesh.
Right, yes, of course. And nobody seems to acknowledge that it's weird that they call it that, whatever.
Right. He's friends with Jason Alexander, the next door neighbor, and Jason, whatever his name is, wants to sell him a rug. His wants to sell him a toupee.
His hairpiece. He's like, this it would help Beldar. Like, if Beldar Conehead had hair, it would look way more normal.
Yeah, totally.
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
I wouldn't mind taking a look at that.
Is it either a little bit, you know that meme where it's like, how would a dog wear pants? It's like, does it wear them just on its hind legs or on all four legs? How does
Right.
Beldar Conehead wear a wig?
Well, think
Is
about
it a normal wig balancing on the top of his cone, or does it cascade down the cone to a normal hairline above his eyes?
Well, interestingly, when he early on, when he is a taxi driver and he has a turban, the turban doesn't cover the cone entirely, which is weird. You would think that it would, because that would camouflage his cone.
Yes.
But it's normal turban length, and his cone pops out of the top of it.
Yeah.
So then that makes me think that a normal size toupee would just be sitting on the top of his cone,
think
not
you're right.
covering the entirety of it.
I think you're right. I think it would be a traditional human toupee balancing on the top of his cone.
Right. I would think that would make his cone all the more conspicuous.
I think so. Hey,
Actually, I don't know. It just as conspicuous.
you know
it
what
would just
drives
look
me?
weird.
You know what drives me crazy in this movie when they go like,
When I was but a young cone, I had this issue with my parental units.
and it's like, you call children young cones?
I think they do.
Are people cones? Or are you the cone heads because your heads are like cones? But you say that too? Like on Remulac, do you call
Right.
yourselves cones?
Yeah, like you would think that it's not weird
Right.
to be conical on Remulac, so it's not even worth commenting on.
Right.
But if you're calling each other cones, I don't know. Yeah, no, I guess so. It's like if we called each other roundies,
Yeah. Roundies.
but there's no need because
What's
we're
kicking roundy?
We're all round.
That's what they said to me in high school.
And then they kicked you like a roundy.
And they kept
A ball.
They took turns rolling me around the school.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question you raise.
I have something nerdy.
I don't like it when the little cone is popping out of her stomach.
Nope. Terrible.
Yeah.
Disgusting. I have an odd revelation that I haven't seen anyone else say. That doesn't mean that I'm the first, but
Yeah.
I just didn't come across it.
Yeah.
In Coneheads, they live in Paramus, New Jersey.
Right.
And they're aliens on Earth. Okay. Rewind just a few years to Ghostbusters 2, when Bill Murray on his psychic show is interviewing a woman who says that she was visited by an alien.
Oh.
And he says the line, she's like, he took me back to his room. It looked like a Holiday Inn, but it could have been a room on the spaceship made to look like a Holiday Inn or whatever.
Yeah.
He goes, your alien had a room at the Holiday Inn in Paramus.
Yeah. Interesting.
What's up with Paramus?
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd and aliens specifically.
I think it's that Paramus is a funny, like it's a fun
Paramus.
name to say.
Why not Nutley?
That's good too. It honestly is good too.
I always wonder, why no
Yeah.
Nutley?
Yeah, why no Nutley?
Why no Nutley, New Jersey?
It's a great question.
The Coneheads, this is almost like a conspiracy to me. So now, did you look up like where the Coneheads came from? Like the
no.
origin? All right,
No.
so I've got some of that. So not shockingly, although I guess I was shocked to see this so bluntly. It said that Dan Aykroyd said he was inspired to create the Coneheads by marijuana consumption.
Okay.
So he was just high.
All right.
And he came up with Coneheads.
Yeah.
And he based the characters on the Easter Island statues, which have that
okay.
long head.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
He also mentioned that he drew inspiration from a film called This Island Earth, where the very tall foreheads of the aliens go unnoticed by humans. So
Yeah.
he liked that sort of like barely hiding in plain sight, but no one acknowledges
Oh,
it.
fun.
Another weird fact, I don't know if you came across this one, that now we made a big deal out of it being 20 years since the SNL sketches.
Yeah.
There was something in between.
What?
In
What happened?
1983, there was a Rankin Bass Conehead special.
What?
Yeah, you didn't
Like
come-
claymation?
That's what I thought. No, it's the way worse Rankin Bass animation.
Oh, I don't like that.
Can you picture like their Hobbit?
Yes, I can.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
it looks like
horrible.
it looks like that.
Yeah.
But I watched some of it. It's so terrible. It's got that like I associate this more with 70s cartoons. So
Yeah.
for the 80s, this was weird. It has a laugh track.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
It's like when the Coneheads do something funny, the humans laugh, and then if something cute happens, they go, "Aww."
How
Like,
weird.
It's so strange.
And so is it the original voices from the SNL sketches?
yes, all of them.
And like Bill Murray is like Connie's boyfriend, like all that stuff?
I wasn't sure if it was Bill Murray, but she does have a boyfriend named Ronnie in it too.
Yeah.
So it's like there are similarities to the movie plot,
Yeah.
but even worse,
Ugh.
if you can believe such a thing.
That sounds horrible.
But so now Blair Witch rules, right? They in some of the Blair Witch lore, they're like every 50 years about something happens.
Yeah.
It's like almost every decade something Coneheads happens.
Right.
Right? 70s was the original sketches, 80s was the Rankin and Bass special,
Oh my
90s was the movie. I don't know what happened in 2000s.
Right. So
But-
are we due?
Well, in the 2010s, the Coneheads were briefly revived for 2 State Farm commercials.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the State Farm commercial where they're like, yeah, like there's a guy standing in his living room like, okay, yeah, no, that sounds good. And his
Yeah.
wife comes downstairs and goes, who are you talking to? And he goes, Jake from State Farm. She goes, oh, really? She takes the phone. She goes, hello, Jake from State Farm? And it is Jake from State Farm.
Yes.
Well, in this humorous
Send up.
send up, Beldar is going,
Ah, yes, I like the sound of that.
and then Primat comes down and goes, who are you talking to, Beldar? And he goes,
Jake from Planet State Farm.
Okay.
They made 2 of these.
I hope they got a pretty penny.
Very close to the Geico cavemen.
Yeah. I bet that kind of like spurred that to happen.
I bet that they were like, maybe we can have the Coneheads be our
Yeah.
cool thing that we do all the time.
I wonder if it was like a Super Bowl commercial kind of thing.
Did it twice, never did it again.
Okay.
Also, I should have mentioned this, in the cartoon, in the 80s cartoon, they show life on planet Remulac.
Yeah.
And the Coneheads are like, they love swimming.
Yeah.
They almost like pop in and out of the water like dolphins.
Okay.
And I think it's because of the cone on their head.
That part is pretty funny in the movie where Connie Conehead is a diving champ because the cone allows her to do just like a completely splashless dive.
That is pretty funny.
It makes no noise. It's very funny. It's just like boop.
That is pretty good. You're right about that. But so in the 80s cartoon, I was looking at the Coneheads and almost like having a flashback. I was like, have I seen this before?
Yeah.
And then I realized, seeing Planet Remulac and a million Coneheads that are swimming and stuff, I think it was a ripoff of sea monkeys.
Oh, I mean, they do kind of look like sea monkeys.
They kind of look like sea monkeys.
So wait, this was the cartoon?
Yeah.
But when did sea monkeys?
I bet around the same time.
But I don't know. What do you mean a ripoff of sea monkeys? Like the concept of sea monkeys?
Well, like the visual of the cone, just what you were saying, that
Yeah.
like there is an odd similarity between the Coneheads and the sea monkeys, just like my baseless accusation that the Coneheads in the State Farm commercials were to rip off the cavemen in the Geico commercials.
I mean, I think that could definitely be.
I think that the Coneheads were probably, conceivably,
Sure.
again, totally baseless,
Of course.
trying to riff off of, steal some of the thunder of the sea monkeys.
But at the time, weren't sea monkeys just something you could like buy and just have like a little thing?
I don't know.
Or because I don't think there was like a sea monkeys show
Didn't
until
look into
like
it
the
at all.
90s or something.
90s?
I kind of don't think so. I mean, I could be totally wrong about that,
Let's
but
take a quick look.
yeah, give it a look. Because I think that came about like when I was a kid.
Sea Monkeys cartoon, 1992. So,
Okay. Yeah, so I don't think so. I don't think that they were just, ripping off tiny shrimps in like a shitty plastic tank.
well, then the Sea Monkeys were ripping off Conehead. Shut up.
I will not. Now, William, you know what I realized? I completely derailed us talking about those UFO hearings or whatever by talking about Lauren Boebert and her Beetlejuice hand job. Let's talk about what happened briefly at those hearings last week.
Okay.
That coincided with us talking about Coneheads.
Cone-sided.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So you've heard about this happening before. There was a, I guess, congressional hearing where people talked about, things that they had seen happening while they were employed by the government that we had not previously been exposed to. And Will and I saw some video on YouTube, and it was quite wild. The video that we saw looked like a little plane
Yeah.
flying through the sky with then 3 tinier things orbiting it. And Will, you said it looks like the tracking system for, was it Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, in Ocarina of Time. So we did an interview with Derek Acosta of Mega 64.
Yeah.
And we watched this footage with him. You get like his live reaction and ours. I don't know if you'd seen it at that point.
Yeah, I had.
You had? And yeah, there are these 3, a human airplane. And I feel like a nut saying this.
Right.
But like this is something that's on the internet. They showed this saying that this is real.
Right.
Not that makes it real.
Yes.
Because everything is on the internet is real. But like reveal this to Congress feels like a step up.
Yeah.
So this airplane then has these 3 little white things, which are like the same color as the plane. So it does imply that they're spacecraft.
Right.
And they basically, if you drew lines between the 3 things around the airplane, it would form a perfect triangle. So it's like these 3 little dots are all working in unison surrounding the airplane.
Yeah.
And that is identical to how the Navi lock-on system works in the video game The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
It's so
Which is so weird. But so this is all real. That like all this alien stuff came around again. Our good friend Luis Elizondo, who has he was like former
Pentagon.
Former
If I remember
Pentagon.
correctly. He came on the scene like in 2017 when it was the first time where it was like there are government revelations about the secret UFO program in the Pentagon or whatever. So that's like why we know his name.
Right.
But yeah, it was another weirdo hearing that like it just makes talking about UFOs both strangely commonplace and also strangely boring.
So boring.
But
It's
with like a
incredible.
cuckoo looking video. And one of the weirdest parts of it is that you watch this video, this plane is flying with these things kind of circling it, and then all of a sudden there's like a flash where all of it disappears at once.
Yeah.
And obviously people who are more into this than us could explain it better, but the explanation that we saw for it was total gobbledygook that we can't understand.
Yeah, but you know that Dan Aykroyd is watching this with great interest somewhere.
I wonder what he thinks about this.
I know.
William, try Googling it. Do like Dan Aykroyd UAP and then hit the news tab
Dan Aykroyd UAP.
and see if he's commented on it.
I mean, you know that he's got a new show, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What's his new show?
Okay. Well, he was in the news 5 days ago, which was the day of the thing.
All right. What
This
do
is
you
from
say?
the Post, so you never know. Mm-hmm. Dan Aykroyd on seeing UFOs.
All right. So that sounds like it's probably a general interview about it.
I think
Which
that-
is fine, but
Yeah,
I
I
was
think it's
just
just
curious.
general news. He
Yeah.
was promoting The Unbelievable with Dan Aykroyd, which we really should look at.
Yeah, definitely.
But so whatever. He believes in UFOs. I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever really know. I would love for Dan Aykroyd to become a streamer and for him to live stream these hearings. Like I'll watch people live stream when Nintendo announces something.
Yeah.
To get their takes at the moment. I
Right.
would love it if Dan Aykroyd has a grandson or a granddaughter or anyone who can be like, here, grandpa, let's get on the internet and
Yeah.
you're going to live stream the UAP hearings. I want to
Totally.
hear his takes in the moment.
Oh, that'd be great.
Even though I can predict that he's like, well, yes, that is true. That did happen. I do believe that this is occurring and I do believe that they're real.
It probably is something like that.
Probably identical to that.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
But now that we're on to real UFOs and Dan Aykroyd's belief in them, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Is Coneheads to Dan Aykroyd the same as Ghostbusters is to Dan Aykroyd? Because we did an episode a million years ago where we literally called it Dan Aykroyd Believes in Aliens and Ghosts.
Yep.
Because he really has these two separate beliefs. He's very, very adamant about them.
Yeah.
And Ghostbusters came from his love of, honestly, being the descendant of people who were part of the spiritualist movement. And like it was like a family belief. His grandfather did seances in an old barn. So like all of this boots on the ground experience sort of fueled his writing of Ghostbusters.
Yep.
Is his belief in UFOs and he's claimed to have seen, I think, 4 different UFOs. Did that fuel his writing of Coneheads?
Right.
The answer is maybe. I'm not really. It's kind
I didn't find it.
Yes.
What did you see?
Yes. No.
Okay.
Unclear. So I've got this from Parade, Parade magazine or parade.com. Dan Aykroyd says that, well, he also said this to Howard Stern. I'll start it this way.
Okay.
He said that he feels like an alien himself, and that he relates to the position of Baldar Conehead, sort of being an alien on this planet.
Okay.
But then which is interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Like he's described before, like feeling like he's sort of like disconnected from other people or something like that. But he takes it a step further where it's almost like, is he saying he is an alien? Because in multiple interviews, I see him go, I have 2 different colored eyes and I have webbed toes. So maybe my biological makeup makes me
So maybe he has
closer.
alien DNA?
He says, quote, I'm very close to the alien spirit and ready for them to arrive.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't really know. You have to like read through the lines
I know.
and interpret a lot.
Yeah, I know.
With
He's
him.
kind of tough to follow.
He's like a oh, what's his name? That guy who like always predicted the future, but you have to like interpret his poems about the future. He's like that. He was like a Russian. You could see into the future and whatever.
Oh God! Now I'm getting. I don't know though.
It's like
Yeah.
they had to poison him and chop off his head and whatever to kill
Right,
him.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
remember his name.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Nosferatu, and that just isn't right. People out there are screaming it.
I know.
But so like Dan Aykroyd says something, and then we all have to sort of like interpret
Yeah, you have to parse through it a little bit.
what could that mean.
Yeah.
But he was pretty clear about the following. He, above all his other work,
Yeah.
including Ghostbusters, which is gigantic, he has said that Coneheads is, quote, by far the best work I have ever done and will ever do.
Wow.
And
Okay.
he has referenced that he dreams of being able to return to the character of Beldar.
Okay.
So this is, whether or not I can understand if he put his belief in UFOs and all of this stuff into the writing of the movie. I mean, I suspect that he did.
Right.
I just can't
right.
confirm it from his own words, but I really do, watching the movie and hearing how he feels about himself, I really do suspect that he was writing Coneheads, because he's one of the 4 credited screenwriters
Yes.
and one of the 2 creators. He does seem to, I think, put a lot of his belief of what it means to be different, and how aliens might function if they are here on this planet.
Right.
Whether or not it's literally sleeping, standing up, eating, mass quantities
into a
of
bed that
waffles or
has like a
whatever.
perfect like U-shaped hole in it for you
Yeah.
to recede into.
So strange.
I know.
But like I do suspect that he really did put some of his own personal belief and love of the subject matter into this.
I read an article about Coneheads by Nathan Rabin. Do you remember who that is? He used to write for the AV Club.
Okay.
He's like a film critic. And then I tried Googling and I couldn't find a source for it necessarily. So I don't know if it was him sort of inferring this or if there was something that definitely referred to it. But he said that Dan Aykroyd has talked about the fact that he is diagnosed with autism, and he was diagnosed around the time that he wrote Coneheads. So that maybe like part of Coneheads and the otherness of it is like
interesting.
somewhat of an allegory for that.
That's interesting.
So you talking about the otherness and feeling separate from other people, like I wonder if there is any of that in the writing of it. And so maybe it's kind of personal to him, and that's part of why he feels like it's some of his best work, because he like put a lot of himself into it.
He does seem to really relate to it.
Yeah.
And I really do kind of like applaud that, like
Yeah.
telling your own personal story through fiction and through
And humor.
And
through
humor.
comedy.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
I
And
really-
it's also a feat of language, this movie, as goofy as it is, and as much as we're like, I think that it works better on a page and writing it. It is complicated, which again, I think can be put it in the minus category for an audience, but that is an accomplishment.
Well, yeah, Dan Aykroyd is, I mean, just as like a skilled orator,
Oh, yeah.
he's amazing.
Oh, I know.
We poke fun at him and
Oh,
stuff, but
I love him.
I really do love him.
Yeah.
And I find him very interesting and very impressive.
Totally.
And the idea that this movie, which I think is better than any of the previous Conehead stuff, the original sketches or the cartoon, good God.
I would think.
But like the movie is the best incarnation of it. And for it to walk all these lines of like, it's an allegory, like you said, potentially for the otherness of feeling like you're not like other people, or for the immigration storyline. Like I really do think that there are a lot of interesting things that it does. Unfortunately, none of the comedy works for me.
Right.
And because of that, it just is a struggle. If it were funnier to me, I would love the whole thing.
Right.
But I really do admire a lot of the structure and the thought process of it. I really do.
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
Two other things. I really only have 2 other things about Coneheads to say, and they're tangential to Coneheads. Do you have
Yeah.
anything specifically about the movie?
I don't think so. Why don't you go ahead and I'll just take a look.
So I'll start with the bare concept of Coneheads. So I mentioned that there are 4 screenwriters.
Yeah.
It is sort of like 2 different writing teams. It was Dan Aykroyd and Tom Davis, who originally created the characters on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
But then their script was reworked by Bonnie and Terry Turner, who are a pair of writers. I think that they were the Wayne's World writers.
Yes, they were.
Which, again, you saying that like Wayne's World may have kicked this off, that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
But just a few years after this movie comes out, in the mid-90s, Third Rock from the Sun comes out, which is about aliens living on Earth and trying to blend in and the blood, yada, 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 yada. Also featuring Jane Curtin, who plays Primat Conehead, created by Bonnie and Terry Turner.
That's right. And also, so it was originally written just by Dan Aykroyd and was it Tom Davis or whatever? So I don't think it's like a rewrite situation, but they originally wrote it and it had much more emphasis on this like military sort of storyline and like warfare between the worlds.
Good God.
And that wasn't really working. So then whoever powers that be suggested that they collaborate with Bonnie Turner and Terry Turner to kind of like bring it together into what it has become.
Yes,
now.
which I think was a very wise choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I don't know. So maybe it's interesting. Yeah, maybe like the alien stuff wasn't necessarily the Turners like bread and butter, but they kind of got into it and decided to bring that to Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Third Rock from the Sun is sort of a spiritual follow-up to the Coneheads.
Yeah, that's right.
I have not watched much of that show.
I haven't either.
Can't stand French Stewart.
That'll put you right off.
Wait, hold on. I have a joke that's not formed at all. Hold on.
Okay, work on
I'm
it.
seeing the Matrix. I'm trying something here.
I'm happy to wait.
All right, it's not going to land as a joke. I'll give you the ingredients.
Not a problem.
When they are confused in Coneheads by Beldar and Primat, they go, "Where are you from?" "France. We come from France." And then on Third Rock from the Sun, it stars French.
You're right.
French Stewart.
What does it mean?
What does this mean?
What does it mean?
This is huge. Oh my God, this is enormous. I
love
but
it.
I don't know what to do with it.
I love it.
I feel like I'm like all anxious, like I'm in trouble. Like something's got to happen with this, and I don't have the energy to do it.
I love it.
We come from France, and French Stewart ends up carrying the baton.
Yeah.
The other thing that I have to say is more about Dan Aykroyd himself. He was in the news in the last couple of days. Where he made some comment somewhere, I'm not sure where. And it's off the topic of Coneheads, but it's on the topic of Dan Aykroyd, which is everything to us.
Yes.
He made the comment that he doesn't think there's a future for him. Or who plays Peter Venkman? What's his name?
Oh,
Bill Murray.
yeah.
Bill Murray. He thinks that he and Bill Murray will not be involved with Ghostbusters going forward.
Oh, did he say why?
He said that he's like, well, they don't really need us for anything anymore. Like, there's not really anything for us to do or to accomplish there. And it should move on. It should move on to the next generation. And he has sort of had that stance about that franchise for a long time. Undoubtedly, he will still be a producer. But I have to just say to anybody who's listening in the studio system, because I know that people are listening in the studio system, one of the best things about the most recent movie was Dan Aykroyd.
1,000,000,000,000%. No, I think there are things for them to do there if they want to do them.
I am so puzzled by the reaction to Frozen Empire.
Oh, me too. I think it's insane.
So confused that people are so negative about that movie.
It was so good.
His performance in particular as an aging Ghostbuster who misses the glory days and is sort of struggling to downshift.
Yeah.
There's literally a scene where he and
Ernie Hudson
is like reading Dan Aykroyd the riot act a little bit because he's like, "You're gonna get yourself hurt, Ray." He's like yelling at him like a friend, being like, "Take care of yourself." And he's like, "But this is what I want to be doing. Like, I don't care if I get myself hurt." Like that was
he's like, "Enjoy your golden years," and he's like, "This is how I want to enjoy my golden years."
That's the line. That like gave me a chill.
Me too. I loved it.
I think that's so wonderful. And for Dan Aykroyd as a guy who loves this stuff and has been like sort of living and breathing it, like listen, not every franchise needs to stay stuck in the past.
Oh, totally. But I think they found such an interesting way to bring them into it. I think it's great.
What are they doing?
I wonder if there's a fear of overstaying your welcome or something. And because there was like a negative reception.
Ghostbusters 5.
I know. And because there was like a negative reception to that last movie and they had a big part in it being like, okay, so maybe it is time for me to step back. But I disagree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. I think that it almost might be it almost rivals, I would say, the second best Ghostbusters movie.
Oh, yeah.
At least for Dan Aykroyd.
I loved it.
When Dan Aykroyd, he says something to like one of the kids, where I think it's Phoebe, the main character. She's like, "Have you ever heard of blah, 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 blah?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, it's haunted." It's like old man acting, old man comedy, but in like, I mean that in the most
complimentary way.
Yes, complimentary way possible. I think he's wonderful.
I do too.
He's a wonderfully interesting odd fellow.
Yes.
And I like want to champion him doing whatever the hell he wants.
Oh.
I like him.
Me too. He's an American institution.
He is.
He's just great.
Here's looking at you, Mr. Aykroyd. You're
Absolutely.
outstanding.
Yeah.
Please, more Ghostbusters from Mr. Aykroyd.
Oh, totally.
And I want to hear, I really want to hear more from Dan Aykroyd about Coneheads and what he may or may not believe. It'd be handy if it
I'm
were.
honestly interested in, well, you know what? This is a little bit of a lie. I'm interested in anything he has to say. I say that, and yet
We haven't seen a show.
well, not even that. I would like to see his show, but think about that documentary of him sitting in a trailer smoking a ciggy and talking about
he gets so
whatever
serious.
and how. So I don't want to come off like a completely disingenuous and just like I love everything about him. I do really love him, and I would love to see more from
You're right.
him. But not like completely perfect, but whatever.
Ray Stantz, his character is obviously him to some extent, but not entirely. Because
Yeah.
Ray can sort of explain something in a very
Right.
clear way because
Well,
it's
he's scripted.
scripted and written.
Right.
I dream of Dan Aykroyd being able to tell me how he feels about aliens in the same cadence as Ray
Yeah.
Stantz.
Yeah, right.
That's my dream every night
Yeah, it'd be great if maybe he wrote a book.
when I hug my pillow.
A book that has, passes.
Please
made.
write a book.
And then an audiobook.
Boom. That's what I was about to say. I
Yeah.
love his voice.
Yeah.
I love the way that he talks. I love
I
the
do
quality
too.
of his voice. I love that he's able to say things very, very quickly.
And I love hearing what he has to say. But yeah, if it could just be streamlined somewhat,
Yes.
then that would be the dream.
Oh, that would be outstanding.
Yeah.
A spiritualist and UFO history through the lens of Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Please, please.
Yeah, instead of that book about Clamato.
Right, yeah, he's all about his vodka now.
Yeah.
The Crystal Skull vodka. I understand
Right.
it's very
Totally.
it's very lucrative.
Yeah. Yeah.
I dream of that ghost or UFO book.
I would love it.
All right, everybody.
All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We hope you enjoyed this. If you would like to hear more from us, we have so many episodes of our other show, The Netherworld Dispatch, waiting for you over on patreon.com/GTTUpod, along with movie commentaries for all of the Blair Witch movies, all of the Twilight movies, and all of the Scream movies. There's all kinds of stuff over there. So head to patreon.com/GTTUpod and do a browse. Check
It's
it out.
like a big treasure chest.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff in there, although you did lie. We did not do a commentary track for Blair Witch 2016. Thank you for reminding me of something to put on the checklist.
Really?
Yes. That is yet to be done.
Are you sure?
We did the first two, but not the third.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Let's put it on there.
You really want to test me on this? All right, everybody.
Yeah, we got to do that then.
We'll see you next
Yeah.
week for something completely different, but until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the Netherworld, go we.
Back to Remulac.
Back to Remulac, we must go to Snarf the Narlac or whatever. What
You
is
are
it?
covered in decals. Remove the decals.
I'm scrubbing with SOAP.
Mebs.